Hey guys, welcome to the Cycle of Life with TES podcast, where we say no to vices and yes to change from inside out. My name is Atiba Teslim and I am the host of the Cycle of Life with TES podcast. Before moving on to today's episode, I just want to say a big thank you to all our listeners who sticked with despite our 1-month break. It's truly an honor. So for today's episode we will be discussing something far different and a bit new because it's high time we get to know more about our topic for today, which is why serial killers aren't ritualist. Serial killers often evoke images of ritualistic behavior, but many are not ritualists at all. Instead, they operate on a spectrum of motivations and methods. Understanding this distinction is crucial for grasping the complexities of their psychology. Ritualistic killers typically engage in specific, repetitive behaviors during their crimes. These rituals can include particular methods of killing, the arrangement of bodies, or symbolic acts that hold personal significance. However, not all serial killers fit this mold. Many commit their crimes impulsively, driven by a range of factors such as anger, revenge, or a desire for control. For instance, some serial killers may choose victims based on opportunity rather than ritualistic criteria. Their killings can be spontaneous, lacking the meticulous planning associated with ritualistic behavior. This impulsivity often leads to a different type of psychological profile, one that is more chaotic and less predictable. Moreover, the motivations behind these killers can vary widely. While some may seek fame or notoriety, others might be driven by deep-seated psychological issues. This complexity challenges the notion that all serial killers adhere to a specific ritualistic pattern. In fact, many serial killers do not exhibit any signs of ritualistic behavior. They may not have a signature method or a consistent pattern in their choice of victims. Instead, their actions can be erratic, reflecting a disorganized approach to their crimes. This disorganization can make them harder to catch, as their behavior does not follow a predictable pattern. Additionally, the media often sensationalizes the idea of ritualistic killers, leading to a skewed public perception. Movies and television shows frequently depict these criminals as methodical and calculating, reinforcing the stereotype. However, the reality is that many serial killers are far less organized than portrayed. As a Nigerian, understanding the nuances of serial killer behavior is essential for law enforcement and criminal psychology because most times bodies being dumped on roads and gutters are often seen as an act of ritualist, which might be wrong. By recognizing that not all serial killers are ritualists, authorities can develop a broader understanding of the motivations and methods that drive these individuals, and we might be able to save people from being victims of serial killings since they roam free, as all their kills are being seen as an act of occult killing or ritualist. While some serial killers may engage in ritualistic behaviors, many do not. Their motivations can range from impulsive acts to deeply ingrained psychological issues. Acknowledging this complexity is vital for accurately understanding and addressing the phenomenon of serial killing. The distinction between ritualistic and non-ritualistic killers highlights the diverse nature of criminal behavior, emphasizing the need for tailored approaches in prevention and investigation. This image is powerful. It's terrifying. It's also almost completely wrong, and understanding this difference is crucial, not just for accuracy, but for demystifying these offenders and understanding the tragic reality of their crimes. When we hear about a killer who poses their victims in a specific way, or performs a specific act on each one, our minds jump to the word ritual. It implies a higher purpose, a ceremony, a sacrifice to some dark god or twisted belief system. But to understand why that's the wrong word, we have to first define what a real ritual is, because crucially, rituals are almost always shared cultural or religious practices. They connect an individual to a community, to a tradition, or to a transcendent idea outside of themselves. Most importantly, ritualists don't leave signatures, but the signature of a serial killer is different. The signature is not about committing the crime. It's about fulfilling the psychological need behind the crime. It's the part of the crime that the killer has to do to feel satisfied. These signature behaviors are what we mistakenly call rituals. They aren't a ceremony for a higher power, They are a compulsion driven by the killer's private fantasies of power, control, or sexual gratification. Let's consider Jeffrey Dahmer. He didn't drug his victims and drill holes in their skulls as part of some occult ceremony. He did it because of his profound pathological fear of abandonment. He was trying to create a compliant, living, zombie, who would never leave him. It was a desperate, twisted, and ultimately failed attempt to fulfill a personal psychological need. Not a ritual, but a compulsion born of profound brokenness. Most importantly for law enforcement. If investigators chase the idea of a ritual, they might start looking for a cult or a satanic group that doesn't exist. By understanding these acts as a signature, they can build a psychological profile of the individual they're looking for. The signature reveals the killer's personality, their motivations, their fantasy life. It helps them catch the person, not the phantom cult. Also, it's about how we, the public, understand these crimes. Calling them rituals elevates the killer. It makes them sound like a dark magician, an evil mastermind operating on a different plane of existence. The reality is often far more pathetic. These are not high priests. They are individuals driven by compulsion, addiction, and deep psychological damage. Their signatures are not signs of genius, but scars of their own broken minds, which they carve onto the bodies of their victims. Reframing this strips away the mystique and the power we inadvertently give them. It centers the horror where it belongs, not on some grand, evil design, but on the tragic, selfish, and compulsive actions of one person, and the innocent lives they destroyed to satisfy their own internal demons. The next time you hear about a serial killer's victim, remember what you're really seeing. It's not a ceremony. It's a signature. It's not a sacrifice. It's a compulsion. It's not a connection to a higher power, but a deep dive into the lowest, most selfish parts of the human psyche. Thanks for listening to the Cycle of Life with TES podcast, where we say no to vices and yes to change from inside out. And don't forget to share, like, and listen to other episodes.